Hello. Can you hear me? Is the audio good? Music is also good. I'm glad to see so many people. Well, if it's like an opening stream for a long journey, I think it's very fitting. Hello, everyone. Please, if you want to say hi, say hi. Happy to see you all. Today I'm a bit messy, not as usual. Kind of, I didn't brush today. Kind of just let it loose, let it wild. Because I've been compiling a lot of references. I think up to 3 a.m. last night. And yeah, without I think any further ado, welcome everyone. Very happy to see people here. And today I think this will be like the first stream and basically the explanation of what we're going to do in the future. First of all, in terms of our news on the Discord server, we finally started the 2D animation course, so congrats for all of the students and everyone who decided to join the February enrollment. Very happy to see you, and hopefully I'll get to see all of your works. I'm definitely gonna, because I'm gonna see all of the promos, and if you have something to share or you want feedback, please check out our new helper forum. that I actually finally fixed. So now all of the old channels, I'm gonna hide them and eventually terminate them. And now you can write all of your inquiries, difficulties, challenges, requests for advice. Everything can be in the helpers forum. So I think that is the most important news. Also, I'm very sorry I missed the last Sunday sketching. Every Sunday we come around this time and we sketch quick figure studies. And basically my power plant blew up last week. I think like I finished working, I saved all the files, and then boom, everything went dark. And it was dark for 4 days, and we didn't have water for 2. So it took a long while, but now finally everything is settled. So just telling you, for those who were interested, why we didn't have a session last week. And yeah, let me tell you about what is gonna happen. I have actually a lot of stuff here to share with you. Just a little quick sneak peek, because I will talk in the beginning a lot. I don't want you to leave before we go to the juicy stuff. But basically, as I stated in the description, I was very dissatisfied with the quality of the work I did during the year. Even though I got to practice a lot of animation, I didn't get to, do something that would impress. I wouldn't say it would impress me, but basically what I would consider on par for someone who's like wants to make shots like in a reel. Most of my characters were pretty static because I was mostly focusing on special effects in 2024. The 5-Minute Friday actually started from it started a long time ago, but the reason why we moved it to YouTube is because we were doing a lot of effects and we wanted to get it recorded. So now I want to step it up, as I stepped it up last year with the 5-Minute Friday going on YouTube. I want to try doing something more complicated. And here I'm kind of freezing on a neutral frame because I think all of these works I've shared at some point on the Discord channel, especially the last portrait, because I'm very proud of it. And yeah, I want to do something more complicated, something that would involve maybe some kind of story, something that would involve some staging, planning beforehand, and of course that will take a lot more effort than just doing one with animation. So I think this will be kind of project till the end of the year. I'm hoping till the end of the year we'll get to do everything from start to finish. And I will use these 5-Minute Friday streams as a shorter version. They're going to be a lot shorter. Before, they were like 2 hours. I think before YouTube, it was like 3 or 4. But now I will be working a lot with a lot of different stuff. And not a lot of it is actually well translates to streaming and showing something in real time. So I'll use 5-Minute Friday for 2 reasons. First, to tell what's happening on the Discord, maybe some important news you might missed, and basically an accountability session where I tell you what I did during the week, I share my progress, and basically go through all of the motions. And for week 1, I wanted to discuss what we're basically gonna do. So here's like a long timeline, and I'm gonna base it on, for all of you people who are interested in school and the courses, since I went through the short film creation course back, I think, a couple of years ago. I want to show you, yeah, there it is. Basically, I want to compare and contrast with how we gathered, and mostly how I gathered and thought about references, and how I want to do it now. So I'm just gonna go through a little quick thing. This is the original reference gathering of our film Cat Cafe, which you can also watch on the YouTube channel. I think the link is in our short films, and you can see we even did like a little custom thumbnail for it. And this was the part that I think is very interesting. Before, you go to storyboarding, character designing, layouts, color script, or even animating, you need to know what you want to put into your work. And I think even before kind of the pre-production starts, I think there's like a little stage called pre-production, which I jumped with the Cat Cafe references because I wanted to keep this as like a little surprise, but you're watching this with the name of the live stream, so it wouldn't be really a surprise. But I think what is very important before you actually start working on some kind of piece or a character or anything is gathering references, inspirations, and kind of understanding what vibe you want to basically convey with the character. And initially, in the Cat Cafe, I'm not going to show a lot. We did use images and different kind of artists, but I think I relied a little bit too much originally on collecting specifically shots. Now I compared to what I did before, so you can see there's some shots from some of my favorite movies. Animations. This one is Rubicon, which is very funny, very abstract, and very surrealist. Oh, I forgot like the names of a lot of them, but if you're interested in some specific one I'm showing like right now, you can put a timestamp and ask me, because I think I have all of the sources in like one playlist. And yeah, I think I've kind of oriented myself a lot on specifically shots from like different movies, which now I think is a little bit not redundant, but just it doesn't specify enough what exactly I'm looking for. So in my updated character design and references, as you can see, I gathered a lot. There's more in the bottom because you can see it. My screen is squarish, so I see it as like one big pile, but you only see like 2/3 of it. And I've separated the references into several pieces, and I think I haven't gotten to most important collection yet. So before I collected all of the references into one big pile, kind of sifted through them, just in like a one big hoard. And now I think it's very important to differentiate if you're doing especially inspirations. I was very strict with using only animated material. I tried to stick to stuff from animation as well in this kind of gathering, which we'll go through it like one by one. I'm going to show you what I want to do. I'm going to explain the idea a little bit. But now I feel it's more appropriate to collect references that are specifically about character designing, environment design, because locations I think is just as important as the characters. It is a character of its own. It's just very different. And also shot design. Let's start with maybe the shortest pile I have, which is I think the most incomplete. Shot design is specifically related to the composition. So I'm gonna reveal a big secret. I haven't put the ratio of the movie, but I want to make it vertical for phones. Because I think a lot of people watch animation through their phones, and I think experimenting with aspect ratios is really fun. When we initially did Cat Cafe, we also did a lot of tests for, let me find it actually. I don't know if it's here, but we had a lot of tests of different aspect ratios, what would work, what would not work. I don't already see them. Oh yeah, there they are. We had different versions we wanted to use. First of all, it was 4.3, which we initially picked, which is classic TV, and it gives off like a very cozy, warm feeling because you're looking through an old TV. A widescreen and CinemaScope. CinemaScope is better for I think like cinematic stuff, and widescreen is like your regular YouTube video. And I was actually very intrigued with the concept of creating a vertical animation that you can watch on your phone, and you don't have to turn your phone to watch it, which is like annoying. You're sitting on a toilet, you don't want to turn your phone already. You want to watch it as it is. But I thought a very good place to look for shot design specifically for the compositions is books and illustrations. A lot of illustrations, especially from books, especially if they're like on a whole spread of the page, like vertical. They have very good and interesting compositions. They put a lot of visual story into them, while not having a lot of landscape space to kind of put everything out. So they have to mix and combine. I especially like this one. There was a project I wanted to do before, which also took note of the space that social media takes from the screen. For example, if you're doing something for TikTok, I don't think I have, should have include references with me, but basically if you have, like you're watching animation on TikTok, you've probably noticed that there's like a description, there's UI, and all of it is gonna be covered, especially because if you open the text even more, it takes even more space, and there's like a black background, so people can easily read this stuff. So putting anything in these like danger zones, I think is dangerous, because if it's something very, very important, people either will have to kind of look for ways to disable UI, which is possible but kind of uncomfortable, and you'll just lose attention of the viewer, just as I do now as people leave, as I talk about the vertical video animations, my micro cinemas. And I think this is also a very good way to kind of solve the limited frame by putting some kind of border on the stuff which is going to be covered by UI, to give it a very good look and to understand that there's very important information you need to put and where you need to put it. I also like this one from Chronicles of Narnia. I think it was made by talented, let me find her name. Give me a minute. No, I don't have it. I did have it somewhere. Her name was oh, none of the names of the images saved. Well, if I find the original author, oh yes, Pauline Baines. You probably can't see it. Yep, there she is. You can check her work. She is very talented, beautiful illustrator. She did amazing Chronicles of Narnia books. Mostly, I think all of these images are from Pauline Bates, but I will be updating this column throughout the week, and also I think I'm gonna also include in the shot design panel, I will include some animated films that I think should be close to what I want it to be. Afterwards, I went to the environment design. Also, I think it's a very important topic. As I already said, the environment is a character of its own. So thinking a lot about what is going to surround your characters is also very important. And here I went through all kinds of different painters. I have backgrounds from Brother Bear, for example. Thank you, Black Grange, for also sharing a bunch of useful links I'm going to share now. And this is one of their suggestions, finding Brother Bear backgrounds, because the idea of the animation will be two characters standing on a snowy mountain. Behind there's like a beautiful ridge of mountains, maybe like a little castle, if I'm willing to put it, or if I found someone talented enough to do this for me. Otherwise, I'm just gonna do it for myself, by myself. And I wanted to see all kinds of different snowy environments and how can they look, what they look like, what they convey. And here I had like Brother Bear. Here I had, I will find, if you want a specific image you're interested, you can also find it. Plus I think I have the link for the board also open, so you can also go through all of them and just check them out on your own time. I have some illustrators who work in digital, so I love this illustration. And here is a tutorial of how it was made. I have some images from Samurai Jack, which I think are also just as fun. I also like how in backgrounds in Samurai Jack they prefer silhouettes, very simple silhouettes, and very soft kind of gradients to not take away from the character. I think it's very important. And also I took some old painters. For example, skies, the simple blockings, and the soft haze in the background. I really like the simple tricks some painters use and how we can implement this as well. Also, another beautiful mountain range. I don't think I have like that lot to kind of share. I also like this one. But there's this one image through all of these that really stood out to me. And for me, it was this one. I don't quite remember who is the artist, but the blue cyan turquoise sky, I think, even if the image, I don't know if it tries to be very calming, but for me, when I see a sky like this, I feel a little tinge of anxiety. So for me, it gave it like a very interesting idea of what I could put into the sky, because usually clear, bright skies or even sunsets like these are kind of cozy. Even the orange sky. But the orange sky, I think this is like the second closest one to my heart, because it also invokes this feeling of anxiety a little bit. Probably because the colors are so diametrically opposite to each other, it gives a little dissonance. So you can always also see that by taking a lot of different references from a lot of different places, you can also see what you personally really like and what you don't feel that it doesn't fit into what you want to do. What else I want to share? I also have this is the reference I really liked. Let me see it. There you go. Which also I think a little bit invokes a feeling of some kind of anxiety, which would be interesting because the animation I want to make is going to basically be two characters standing, as I said, on the edge of the mountain, and it's like very tense, very anxious. I'm going to share the exact plot when we're going to do the storyboard, because we're going to do it together, or I'm going to do it and we're going to discuss it and I'm going to show it. So I would for me, I'd personally pick if I would explain to someone what I want to see in the animation, in the background especially, I would definitely single out these 1, 2, 3 images, because I think they're really responsive to my vision. And also I have some castles that I've collected from art of Hotel Transylvania, which is very fitting. I'm doing a little story where the character is a vampire, and having a beautiful castle somewhere in the background, especially if kind of creepy, foreboding, or maybe even kind of breaking apart, would add to the character of the background, because it's going to be snowy, it's going to be cold, it's going to be very kind of feeling very foreign, very hostile, and having some architecture that has been broken down in the background from time and weather would even add to the desolation of the characters. And I really like how they make the Hotel Transylvania castles. I think the designs are very interesting. I love how they combine this grimy, grotesque kind of style, and in the end it looks very friendly. So just a minute of appreciation of different artists. And I think I talked everything about the mountain range and environment design, and lastly but not least, we have the character design. First of all, I have a little bit of art searching I did throughout the years. I had this question on one of the practice rooms on how basically I gather ideas. I catch them. They come to me suddenly. I catch them and I don't just lose them. I try to compile everything into different folders, and when the time is right, I get to do it. Same thing happened with Cat Cafe. I think initially I started the idea, 2 years before the film started. So these, I think these 3 images, this one with the 2 kitties, this one, which has my favorite cats of all time. They didn't get featured. They were too, I think they were a bit too complicated. These 2 cats, and this one. And actually it has like a very funny story behind it, because initially I drew this because this was a coworker I really, really disliked when I was working in a hotel. They were like, and I kept it for 2 years. I drew some related materials. And probably this is all. This, I don't remember when it quite happened. I think it already happened during the creation. And you can see the old cat, someone's holding a cigar for him. And that's how it started. We came to the pitching session. We couldn't decide what we wanted to pitch. And I basically was like, I'm not going to squander an opportunity to meet so many mentors at the same time and not get any kind of extra feedback. So I brought an old idea of mine that was sitting in the corner for a long time, and I was like, we don't have to do it, we don't have to animate this. I didn't even bring it to the competition. I just brought it so we can, I could get some feedback. Maybe I'll work on it like next year or the year after that, whenever I'll be free. And in the end, we kind of liked the idea a lot and decided to go for it. So in terms of how I collect, usually something comes into my mind randomly, I explore it a little bit, and then I kind of put it on the back burner. It's there, it's always there. Sometimes I would come back to it, I would go through all of my images, I would get a little bit inspired, I would draw something extra, and then I'll put it back in the folder again. And right now I think I have 3 or 4 different projects in like these kind of embryo states that I develop just little by little if I have an opportunity. So if someone asks, like, do you have something like to present, or if there's an opportunity, I would always have something I would be willing to share. And yeah, basically we went into exploring the characters even more. Are these like aristocats? Oh, and also relating to the references. So here we had like a cat cafe, and we wanted to create like an atmosphere of, what do you call it? Of these like bourgeoisie cats like going throughout their day, and the main character is a mouse. So a cat cafe would be something very, very different for them than for us. So I also had these like images of like rich people through different time frames here as well. I think I did almost like 1-to-1 in terms of characters over here. And what else? Oh yeah, and this was the original first image I think I brought to the pitching, because the pitching was at like, we would meet for the first week, and then we'd have a week to kind of create a starting idea what we could do. And I brought this, and as you can see, I tried to use very, very different styles. They were all graphic, black and white, but I tried to use different methods of drawing the characters. So as you can see, this one is a lot more scribbly, with characters being a lot more anthro. They are standing on like the 2 legs. They have like real shoulders, and some of the cats. This cat, I think she was inspired by the Witch of the West from Witch of the West? Yeah, Wild Witch of the West from the Howl's Moving Castle, not the Witch of the East. Here I went for more of a simple kind of ronky type of illustration. It's more lean to comedy than this one. Plus, it's easier to draw. I really like this one. I think this is the initial kicker we did, because it has really simple shapes. It doesn't use any scrunkly lines that are going to be hard to replicate from frame to frame, and it also gives us freedom to kind of play with the characters' faces. I really like this one. These are like 2 old grandpa cats who are just smoking and talking about life. Another grandpa kitty. These were fun. These were kind of a mix between these two, I believe, but still a bit too, I think, complicated. And also the pictures of the mouse, and you have no idea how she changed, but I'm gonna return to it more when we're gonna actually design the characters. So based on these like images, I tried to compile references that would be close to something that we're looking for. And basically here I did the same thing. These were all of my different, well, what I could gather. A lot of stuff, even though I have like a special folder on the back burner and stuff like that, I don't save all of the stuff I have. You've probably seen some stuff, especially like this one, because I'm very keen on sharing my art in the Discord server, and you should be too. And I have very different interpretations of the character. Here's the most recent one. I kind of like the mix between the realism and the stylization. And here is a much more stylized graphical interpretation of the character. This was a lot older, I think. This was the oldest image I drew in 2021. I think this is also like 2021 and a couple of months after, where I kind of figured the character's ideas and kind of, I don't like using the word vibe, but that's what it is. The atmosphere, what kind of character gives you from the first glance. And I wanted the character to be very powerful, to feel powerful, threatening, but at the same time, not openly aggressive. They don't have a reason to attack someone. They just look like a very dangerous animal, you know? So here I tried to implement like a bold silhouette. I tried to use these like scorpion, what do you call them? Tails? Which actually, throughout the years, migrated into this design that I've completed like a couple of months ago. So some stuff stayed, but a lot of stuff changed as well. What also I like that's what stayed is the bump on the head. For me, I think it's kind of it works for her silhouette. And when I started putting her hair down, I think it's also became kind of a good backdrop to the rest of her dress and the body. Here are more recent drawings. I think this is the end of 2022, somewhere around November. I was going for, as you can see, I was slowly kind of migrating from something very graphic, so graphic and graphical, not graphic in terms of like gore. This is also from 2021, an old image. I also tried to put as much story as I could into the drawings. So as you can see, this is almost like a little storyboard of them. And this is the second character that we're going to touch upon later. But I have so little images of them that there's almost like nothing to include that I really, really like. What else? And also I experiment a lot with the proportions, with the style. Even this is a very old illustration. I think one of the first illustrations I ever did on my iPad. And I did it with the finger, so be nice to me. But the hands were very, very hard to draw, especially with the finger. So I used my real hands to kind of give it a weird feeling. Oh, there's a little boob. You didn't see that. Yeah. Here, I'm also trying to understand her character. Who she is. Like, is she like very cunning? Is she does she like to, basically I tried to answer as many questions as I could about the character, kind of understanding their character. Even if the visual design isn't really completed, this is a very kind of somber picture. I wanted to create both of them, but I lost the second image. So I mostly was art searching the character, but you can still see as a progression of the character. It's very interesting to look at. So these look kind of similar, but from this to kind of going into somewhere like here, or this one, for example. The change, I want to make you, see both of them. Good. I think you can. just how much the character changed, how much the feeling of the character. I think beforehand she was just kind of just a kind of rich vampire for me who lived in her desolate castle, and now I think she carries a lot more personal stuff related to her. She looks a lot more intense, but at the same time, as you can see, like this like blood splash all over, and it makes the viewer think, is it the blood splash because she was eating blood, or someone tried to stab her through the heart? Which would be a good question looking at this companion character. And for the companion character, I sadly don't have a lot because I've been running so many ideas with them that I don't think I have like 2 consistent images with them. So because of that, I felt that I need to at least go through different character designs and ideas to at least get some sort of semblance of what I want to do future with the character design. Which we're gonna do next. I'm gonna add some more references and I'll do like first drawings, and then probably on the next 5-Minute Friday I'm just gonna do the variations of a character design. Probably the second character that I don't have developed at all, because I think in some parts it's gonna be a lot easier to develop them because I almost have no material to work on, and at the same time, yeah, I think it will be easier. Because I think the vampire, they already have so much character that I've already built into it. So leaving some parts out is going to be a lot more painful. And I think I need to get ready with the other character. But here is the pile of references I got. And once we're going to be done with the pile of references, I'm going to share some of the links I used. And we can even like go through them together a little bit. So here I went through character design and I tried to include as many different ideas also as possible. So let's start with the upper thing over here, which was a little bit about how the characters are going to be rendered in the final kind of version, and how some compositing was done here as well. Plus, the aesthetics of both of these animes were very formative for me. They were very important. So I want to at least have some semblance of that same atmosphere that they gave me when I watched it. Plus, I really like, especially over here, how they made the very light line art and didn't have any shadows at all, which creates a very delicate feeling. Plus, if we're talking about like a snowy field on a mountain or maybe somewhere in the dark, as you can see, there's like not a lot of shadows going on as well. So they can really complement each other. I like this one in terms of bloom. Also, very simple line art, very beautiful characters, by the way. This is from Revolutionary Girl Utena. This is from an anime called Rose and Maiden. Although out of all of them, I think you can only say that Utena is really good. Rose and Maiden was more about aesthetics for me than actual plot. I would redo it if like I had a chance some places, because I didn't really like how it was paced and how it was centered on characters I didn't want it to be centered on. But no complaints about this one. If you haven't seen Revolutionary Girl Utena, you should. It's amazing. Don't you dare skip an episode. All of them have meaning. And from here, yeah, I also had some Utena references. I really like how in anime they are all out on the drama. They're all out with all of the blooming flowers in the back of the characters. I think it's a very powerful kind of way to symbolize what your character's thinking is doing. Here as well, this is a shot from one of the later episodes. I'm not spoiling anything. It's it's a good thing I didn't spoil anything. I could have used a very spoilery thing. Yeah. For people who know, I think they're all from these are from the ending. So they're not spoilery. But here I kind of liked how the character feels very absent from the world around them. I like how the soft gradient in the background creates this feeling of her being separated from everyone else while there's like a whole life going on she's not a part of, which I found really, really interesting when I watched it. And Newton is very heavy on symbolism like that. You can discuss it for hours. I think even like the size of the nails in the film is important. I think they even pointed that out. So like, you should definitely watch it if you want to see some symbolism. And here I'm kind of just gathered, oh, you can't see her, some images on vampires and like gothic kind of images. Do I like the 90s style? Couldn't say. Well, Rose and Maiden technically is like a 2000s show, I believe. And it could be even the fan art, so don't quote me on that image specifically. But I like anime from all ages. I like it's just hard for me to kind of put everything from my head, but once we'll go through all of the references here, I used everything from the 70s to like 90s, 2000s, and stuff like that. And yeah, I have also a couple of images that I kind of liked. These were made by talented Victoria Francis. She's amazing. I think she rocked the internet when she published these. The internet was never the same, and you know it. Her influence, I think, is very powerful. This I also liked as an image. It has very daring silhouettes. It's very anxiety-inducing, so something can definitely be taken from the image here. Also, kind of like the gloomy atmosphere. Sometimes it's not about the specific tricks or visual styles. I think it sometimes could be also about an atmosphere in general. And thinking consciously about how they managed to actually get it. So from the atmosphere of the characters, also have these like lovely vampires. I'm not sure who the author is. I saw him on Pinterest and I don't think he was like even credited, but I can find any image if you want me to. And these had like also very lovely vampires to work with. All of them have really interesting silhouettes to them. All of them feel like different characters. You can really read who they are as people from this lineup. Also, I like this one. This is also a very interesting image of a vampire lord, which combines all of the classic stuff with the long ears, black hair, the cape, and I think it works also really, really well. Really dramatic. Though personally, I've saved this reference not for the vampire character, but actually for the second knight character, and I'm gonna explain it a little bit later. So, going through the amount of references for the creation of the vampire character. So first of all, I tried to focus on very feminine characters. Same Revolutionary Girl Utna with all of their amazing silhouettes with the dresses. This is her, I think, like main dress she uses, but also there's a lot of lovely silhouettes they have, and I think they're very good to kind of keep them around just to have the variety. This is one of my favorite characters from there. I think she has like a lovely design, but she was used for like a couple of episodes, which is a shame. This is from Vampire Hunter D, from the Bloodlust OVA, which is amazing, and if you haven't seen it, you definitely should. And this is the damsel in distress, and I really, really like how they did her silhouette, that you can kind of peer and see her waist through this kind of through the bigger shoulders. I think it also works really well. And here's for something more whimsical, in case I want to go that way. I forgot from what anime this is, but I really love the butterfly kind of wings, the trail in the back over here. I think it's very lovely. Here is from an older anime. It's a bit more realistic, more inherent to the style. I think the main character lives somewhere like around 19th century, and she has this lovely dress that is also very important. The silhouette is very nice, and I like how it's least a little bit more historically accurate than, I don't know. Well, none of these are happening in the real world now, but having something with a more grounded style is also very good to keep yourself somewhere in the middle. Also, this has an amazing silhouette. You can feel how this character is very calm, collected, how she's probably very strict, and it very reads through her dress. Also, this one, I didn't want to include only young anime women. I think women of all complexions and of all ages could contribute. Plus, I really like how they did the puffy sleeves on her without completely losing the rest of the silhouette. So, which I think I a little bit did with my drawings of her. You can compare with this one. As you can see, it's a little bit bland, and the huge puffy shoulders are completely covering her waist and the rest of the character. So when she's gonna turn, move, it's just gonna be two huge puffy sleeves going around her, which I don't like. I started experimenting with it a bit, as you can see. I tried to puff the sleeves up like this and leaving some like big silhouettes for the arms, but still not taking away anything from the waist and the rest of the character. Here also, I think, hello. Yes, Kata, I remember you, Ace. How's it going? I remember about your lip sync workshop request. So, I do remember you. This is another way I tried to resolve the puffy sleeves dilemma with making the puffy sleeves white and the dress black. But I still think it doesn't quite hit where it needs to. The puffy sleeves over here. See, I was a big fan of puffy sleeves, but puffy sleeves aren't a fan of me. So I think this one kind of went the best because it's not too much on the shoulders. They're more kind of droopy. What else? Yeah, shoulders, shoulders, shoulders. And from just very kind of strict character sheets, I went and searched for more explorations. I really like this one. First of all, it has like two characters with very different aesthetics going together, and I really love how they completely omitted kind of the long thin waist for the very, like, what do you call it, like a very simple but very effective silhouette. It doesn't feel like part of her body is missing. Here is another one of kind of a Victorian image over here. I really like the draping on top. I think it's a very good solution. So like the puffy sleeves is one way to do it, and I think the other way to do it is adding some kind of trail or some extra fabric. Here I really liked it's from the Anastasia movie, and this was one of the sisters, and they were appearing in this dress in the royal ceremony. And I also really liked it how the silhouette was very, very readable, even though she has like a lot of fabric on top, which is just translucent. Some searches from different characters from different projects I've included just to see how people experimented with big and small parts of the design. Also, this is a good, it's not a reference to any of the characters, but I think it's a good telling example of how small, and I mean, these are small. I would say these are small tweaks to some of the proportions and shapes, and how it drastically changes the character. Even though they're kind of the same letter, the same word, they're all in kind of these different fonts that tell very different stuff about the character. Here I included some faces, just so I have some references I can pick from while drawing, so I can orient myself on something. I've included faces that are more thin. I had faces that are more wide and round, depending on what I want to do. Because, again, coming back to the character, I have images where they have like a super round face. I have images where the character has more of a realistic kind of a cat face, and even like long, thin, like faces. Like, no, this is pretty round, but I say with the big McDonald's M on top. It's pretty long. Plus the other character I'm probably gonna counteract with. She would have a long face, but now since it's gonna be more of a walking suit of armor, we'll not be able to see her features, sadly. What else? Oh, I've been talking for almost an hour. And there I thought the streams are gonna be shorter. Also, really good images. Oh, I like this one. This lady's amazing. She has a wonderful design, I think. Another from Vampire Hunter D, which is also, I think, very fitting to creating the design of the vampire. She needs to be threatening, like she is. She has a wonderful design, wonderful like negative spaces between her arms, so it's really easy to read her, and the wonderful draping in the back. I'm not gonna go all out like this queen is, but still having some outlandish and crazy designs, I think, in your reference is also important, because it will shift your kind of overtone window of when you want to put in the design a little bit more. So you're kind of, oh, well, it's not as crazy as this reference that I have, but I can go a little bit crazier with what I have now. And I think originally in the cats references, I didn't really went, I think, that extra mile of taking references that are completely out of the window, maybe a little bit, and seeing what we can do with them. Thankfully, I was not alone in gathering the references. We had a lot of different people with a lot of different ideas. So you can see I have a couple of screens that are down here, because we basically had like a huge pile, and we assembled what we really liked into this cute little pile. What else? Yeah, so I went on silhouette design of a dress, on the faces, on some kind of specific details. I also like this one. She's not very close to what I would create in the character, but her attitude is very kind of close to what I want to show. So I also wanted to have this, even though she's visually, I mean, a lot of these faces are visually not something I will go into, but again, having these like wild card references I think is good. And I think in the end I included a lot more like old illustrations like these, just so I would have some references on the dresses, the silhouettes, and their moods even. Especially, I was enamored with these two references, especially with the way the hair flows over here. And it made me feel like adding something to the hair of the vampire in general. Where are you getting these references, Kata? This is the perfect time to segue before I talk about the second part of the reference piling. I will talk about the links I have. So first of all, I want to share is Art of Animation. I'm like straight up gonna share it in the chat. I will talk a little bit, so it'll be at the same time. This is a wonderful source for all kinds of interviews with different animators. There's artworks you can go through, huge portfolios. They also have challenges, design challenges, and the winners are spectacular. There's also a huge visual library you can go through. Damn. The Art of Animation, I think, yeah, I shared it in the Discord, like useful materials, but it's somewhere like down below, and I've kind of putting this as a closer link you can use. And it has anything from Over the Garden Wall to, again, Utena. Most of the high quality Utena references I have from here. And they not only have artworks related to specific pieces or projects, they also have a big visual library that is basically just about very different themes. And some of the stuff I also gathered from there. Let it load. I'll let it load a little bit while I talk about different stuff as well. The other thing I wanted to shout out, it's Shot Deck, which was also advised, suggested to me through Black Grinch. They used it as part of their courses on storyboarding, which I think is very, very well. This is basically a huge amount of high quality screenshots. A huge library. I think like a million images or something, or even more. I'm not sure. I think they put it like somewhere on the website, so you could feel very impressed. But it doesn't really matter. And they have a lot of different tags they use for all of the images. So everything is cataloged really, really well, from the genre, director, editor, to what kind of lens it was made on, or what kind of lab production it was made through. If it was made on film, for example. So also, I'll sending the Shot Deck. Oh, I did something wrong. Yeah, there we go. So here's the second one, which is called Shot Deck. You should also use, and the last one I'm going to share, which is probably mostly familiar to you. I use it more for collecting animation references for specific things, but also this is a good way to kind of go and find some good pieces of animation you like. It's called Sakagaboru. You can't see it. I'm just gonna share the link, and I'm gonna share it in a couple of seconds, so it'll be more or less at the same time. Dang. And here I also have a special extension that allows me to see the GIFs without opening the image, which I advise you to install if you want to go through Sakagaboru. And they basically have an enormous library of different kind of animations from any type of animator you can find in the industry. There's mostly Eastern animation, but there's also a huge block of Western stuff you can also reference. So without further ado, sending the Sakagaboru. And have I watched Spirited Away? Of course I had. I love it. The character design is amazing. Camera movement is very hard in animation, specifically for me. Yeah, I understand. I think to understand camera movement well and stuff like that, going through a couple of kind of real life camera, not classes, but at least knowing what types of lenses there are, how the camera movement is being done in film, I think it gives you at least like some kind of reference on how to do it right. Also, I think stuff in terms of like montaging and storyboarding would also be useful if you want to learn what camera movement is all about. Or if you're talking about kind of specific program, the ways the camera works in Clip Studio and TV Paint is like completely opposite sides of the spectrum. So in terms of like software, you'd probably have to go and dig to a specific one you want to use. Again, different faces, different interesting silhouettes, and different ideas for the character. I try to save as much as possible, which I think what would be fitting. Mostly I took all of my attention on the face shape and the silhouette of the dress, because the hair in itself is more or less kind of her calling card. It's a big heart with a scorpion tail in the back, so like not a lot of stuff you can change. Maybe I would add, when I was talking about this picture specifically, I really like the hair swooshes over here, so maybe adding some gray strand through the hair would actually benefit it. But character design is going to come later. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the references, and we're probably going to roll to a close. But here also I have the lovely Cher. I think this is also a very good illustration. Very good silhouette. She is kind of having the same aesthetics as the vampire I did here. A little bit. So if I had the same design, I would probably reference her silhouette, I think, from this image a lot. And I'll just like trace it. I mean the logic of it, how she has like very soft shapes, but they're very elongated. All of the arms, as you can see, she doesn't even have like fingers to create her like elegant feeling to her. They just made her arm like one big kind of snake. And you can't really see it until you kind of notice it. It works, I think it still works really well, but it just adds her extra, like, her being like a super diva. Also, different types of heads. Smushed heads, triangle heads, round heads. I found this reference also amazing. The characters seem so simple, but I don't know, I just can feel a lot of stuff about them. Also, different face shapes, different ages, different kind of people. Sorry. Looking back and forth. Also here, I think these were initially created for Mother Gothel. But I don't think she looks here threatening enough. I like that they make her hair go wild. It kind of adds to her. I like this image partly because of the feeling I feel when I look at it, like it's an old picture of someone dead a long time ago. But I also really love the complicated silhouette on the top and very simple silhouette on the bottom. And this is actually not the first time I've noticed a trend like this, where they would put a lot of details and emphasis on the shirt, and the rest of the skirt was just a silhouette, which I think is very good for animating, especially if you want to focus on one part of the drawing. What else? These also, amazing silhouette, and she has the big puffy sleeves that I talked about, because when she turns, you can't really see the rest of her shape, but it doesn't really clash with the rest of her silhouette, which I think is really good. This one, also, beautiful corset, also a beautiful thing to reference. And some more old in terms of premiere animes, and this is the character also. I really like the silhouette. And here is more kind of vampire oriented stuff. This is also from Vampire Hunter D, and as you can notice, I had no idea she had it until I started compiling references, that there was a character who is a vampire who has the double M&M the double M&M sign. Would you suggest we draw facial expressions when I design a model sheet for characters? Of course. I mean, depending on what kind of character you do, what kind of project it is, it will require different stuff. But yeah, trying different emotions on the character is very, very important. Which I'm gonna do. When I'm gonna do the character design, I'm gonna do both of the characters, probably not in the same week, or maybe in the same week, I have no idea. And I'm gonna include the main character from the front, from the back, maybe from the side, depending what I need, because I will do it after, I think, storyboarding. Not sure. They'll probably go somewhere simultaneously. So I'll need to understand from what sides I see the character and what specifically I need to work on. Actually, I have a very fun story with Cat Cafe. In terms of like character design, I will go and jump a little bit and show you the character design we did. Where was it? And while I was looking, I forgot what I was gonna talk about. Yeah. As you can see, the characters over here, they're very much 2D. They like big, bulbous shapes. They work in a 2D design mostly. They're like from very simple shapes. Here's also a good example. I use like different emotions on the characters. And we basically created the characters. We thought about them for a little while before the pitch. We sent it out, and then during the animating phase, we actually had a problem where a character had to animate, where the animator had to animate a character from an angle we didn't plan on. So we basically had to scramble what we can and try to create a good solution while having very much limited time. So thinking about what your character is gonna do is very, very important. Oops, something happened. Something started lagging. I won't jump to the other mirror board. But I think I talked about enough. I think I talked about like the whole hour. Non-stop. So hopefully this was a good enough explanation of how I didn't talk about in the night. We will talk about the night now. And also on the dresses, I found this really beautiful scan of multiple pages from a book describing accurate period clothing. So I would actually have something I could reference if I want to combine something more anime, kind of something very, very stylized, but I still want to have some original, authentic roots to what I'm doing. Though my characters aren't in a specific time period or even like in the same universe as we are. So it's not as specific, but I think using already created like complicated designs and working on these like little stones from different cultures. Oh, it lagged. Does it lag now? No idea. You'll tell me later. Yeah, having some bases rooted in real life, I think, is important to build on top of. And here we come to the knight. And it's not only the knight, it's gonna be a knight and a prop. It's gonna be a sword, like a big sword. So I also needed some franchises that had a lot of swords in them, and Utna was my first choice because like every character has like a specific sword to them. And even though it's more about like fencing, I still like how the swords really represent the characters that wield them. This is a good example. Very clean, polished, straight, even regal, which very describes the character. He's like the headmaster of a school. Can I create a high-level animation alone? What is a high level? No idea. I'm gonna do all of this alone. If I'll find some people who are willing to collaborate with me, you know, I'll be happy to have them on board. But all of the stuff I'm gonna create in the future, I'm gonna be alone. So hopefully, I'd say yes. But we'll see. What is a high level anyway? I think interesting animation comes in like any shape or form. So even if like some places are lacking, you can easily compensate in other stuff. It's not like all of the greatest, most popular, or like most impressive animations. Not impressive, but like in terms of culture and society and leaving the impact. Not all of them were like animated like on Sakuga level, you know? Badger was created in Flash with 4 frames, and it was very iconic. People probably don't know what Badger is. I mean, I'm alone too, so it's gonna be the 2 alone of us. That's why I'm using the 5-Minute Friday, basically. This is gonna be an accountability and milestone meetup. So if you have an animation you want to do, this is the perfect time to kind of hop on this train because I will basically go every week. I'll discuss my progress. You can share your progress and kind of just be in the same boat, just doing our own thing. Another sword I really liked, very beautiful. And there's like 2 types of it depending on what like powers she uses, which I also really like. Very subtle, but very beautiful, especially as you can see the rose at the end. I don't know if you know, but Steven Universe is actually very inspired after this anime. So if you like how Pearl fights, especially that one scene when she makes the backflip with the sword, that's straight up from Utna. That's just like a reference. Here's another character. She is, I think she's very like hot-headed, and I like that she has a scimitar, and she has another dagger she could use as like a secret weapon because she's very unpredictable. What other sword designs I have? From Vampire Hunter D. An amazing, beautiful sword. Which is also, for the longest time I thought this was like an eye, but it's like a face. A sad face, like. Understood, ma'am. That's the spirit. You should say like, yes, chef. Also, different sword designs. Because I would say sword is also a character of their own, though they have to work very much in tandem with someone who's wielding it. But here I kind of decided to put different designs I find, just to have a variety of what I can pick from again. So this is like more of a heavenly kind of sword, for some kind of like maybe good or righteous character. This one, very angsty. I love the little axes on the sides. Makes it very kind of threatening. This is also very good. I think this is also a very not calm design, but like a simple design, but it's very well done. The subtle it's not embroidery, but I forgot the right name for it, but the subtle details over here and the golden hilt works really well. This one, also a beautiful sword for someone who's probably more quick, and I love that there's a crack right in the middle. It could tell you a lot about someone who wielded it. For example, they might be too prideful, and they went against, like, I'm just imagining it, I don't know from where the sword comes, and they, for example, went against an opponent they didn't expect to beat them. And the sword basically cracked. They lost. And their kind of pride and glory is also like broken down in the middle. From here, I have some references from real life. I really like the design of I think that's the helm? Or it's a shoulder pad. Basically, I like that it looked like a shell, which was really interesting. And from here, I started gathering some references for real life helmets, and then I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if I could have some references of some kind of characters like animals or some kind of demons. I could actually take the helmet shape and kind of combine it. The coloring style of the sword is amazing, I agree. The one that's with the subtle embroidered, like the thing and the golden hilt, chef's kiss. So I decided to have some different images of different kind of demons and stuff like that. I think it's from the author of Hellboy. It's from also the art of Hellboy. Oh, boobies, I'm sorry. Didn't notice them. And these are also different characters wanted to use. What else? Oh yeah, this one I really liked. I liked the elongated face and then like the huge horns in the back. Makes it look like really threatening. And from there I went collecting the designs of the armor. So first of all, the other character, they're gonna be a knight, and they're gonna be part of some kind of religious clergy. So I also wanted to see if there's like any interesting designs on kind of not exactly religious figures, but something that would be closer to someone who does something religious. So here's reference number 1, same reference with the jacket on. There was also another one I wanted to show, which is like part of the clergy, this one is a little bit on the nose, but still having a big hat with the cross and the puffy sleeves again would also kind of broaden the horizons of what I can actually put in. Some mecha designs as well. I'm not really good at drawing mecha myself, but having these also as a reference, I think it's very good. They create very people who draw mecha, most of them are able to put beautiful silhouettes into very complicated characters that have like a lot of detail, but when you boil it down, it's very clear. It's like amazing, masterful. This is also a different design I included because the character, the suit of armor, I would even say, not knight, it's more of like a living suit of armor, and they're very kind of broken down. So this is also a very good addition. I really like how the contrast works with the armor of the character and how they're like exposed bits under the armor, making it feel partly that he's just a robot and partly making him feel like these are like ghastly wounds, you know, that he's been like rotting for a long time. Another religious kind of figure here. And from there, also have a couple of like images of like these like demons and devils I can incorporate, and the rest of them are mostly about knights, about armor. I really like the interesting silhouettes with the heads on this one, and surprisingly on this one. As you notice, these are not made by the same author. I think these are by different artists. But I really... Edward... Let me check. Yeah, these are by different artists. But I really like the tall shape of the... What do you call it? Of the helmet. Plus, I think I had this interesting design, which looks very, very threatening. It's much more catered to something realistic. But I like the usage of white and red in the illustration. Makes it look very, very threatening. And also I think something red underneath the armor of the character I'm gonna create is also very good. For how much time you're doing animation? I've started doing animation, I think, in 2021. In like middle of 2021. So 3 years. Not a little, not a lot. This is also a pretty design of a character with armor. It's a little bit on the... What do you call it? Like the battle bikini kind of thing. But I like that at least it's like covered. It's covered well. And there's still kind of a lot of way to stylize it. A lot of good like silhouette bits. This is also very good. The stuff I talked about, the red underneath the suit of armor, kind of revealing the inner threat, was also very good. As you can see, I tried to focus on the silhouettes that had a noticeable negative space in between the hands and the torso. So I'd have something to reference. Another beautiful lady knight. Just for reference, I kind of liked her. This one I also found really amazing. The huge big plates that hug the character from all sides make you feel at the same time very vulnerable and very impenetrable at the same time. Amazing work with shapes, which I also wanted to keep. You can't see the negative space, but this is the cape in the back. So it has like a very sharp, very angular design to the waist. And the rest of them are a little bit more catered to realistic stuff. Again, I have a little bit of anime, and I have a little bit of civilian people, just to kind of have something to mix in. Another warrior character I really, really like. When you start to think it's very complicated or it's something impossible, I mean, it depends on the task. If I never lifted any weights ever and I tried to lift 100 kilos, I mean, I wouldn't do it. I would probably not only not do it, but I would pop a couple of vessels in my head, had a nosebleed, and sprained, and a sprained hand, you know? So I think it really depends on the task. What I kind of liked, I also couldn't get into animation before the school because I also thought it was too complicated and too hard to figure out. But what's good about having like mentorship and courses, I believe, is you get to have someone who personally sees where you are on your journey and knows how to guide you from exercise to exercise, so you won't feel too overwhelmed. Sorry, so you don't feel too overwhelmed with the task, and at the same time you can challenge yourself. What I found out once I kind of finished the 2D animation courses and I went to other stuff, and when I did animation on my own, I found myself in this kind of dilemma that I'm either creating something too simple, that it's kind of easy for me to do, but didn't really give me a lot of progress, or I would stumble into something that is way over my head and I won't be able to kind of figure it out on my own. But thankfully, stuff like this is resolved by either going through some kind of courses, especially art courses on AnimationClub School. With the courses, or having a community around you who's willing to give you feedback. Which is also, I mean, the Discord server, which you can like also use for accountability and for feedback. But mostly, I think the feeling of it being impossible or very complicated, it comes from the exercise you choose to do. If you start with something simple like a lily pad jump, like we did a long time ago, or maybe like a wave principle, they're doable. From there, you can build on and make something more and more complicated the more you kind of go with it. That would probably be my answer. But I thought it was too complicated for me until I started. So I think starting is the most important step. Also, beautiful design, beautiful silhouette, beautiful cape, beautiful trail. And also a Cersei drawing I liked really much. This is when I talk about the shapes, the silhouettes, the character, the story behind it. You can like tell a lot from this illustration about who the character is, what their intentions are. And I think, I think I've discussed all of my references. I'm gonna go back to the timeline. Basically, I've separated the timeline into separate bits. I don't know if I talked about this in the beginning. You're welcome. I don't know if I talked about it in the beginning, but I'll talk about it now. And we'll probably end here, because I've talked about it for an hour and a half. Oh my god. I definitely can talk. I thought like all of the stuff I'm gonna show is gonna be over in like 10 minutes. Like I'm gonna go like, oh, here's the references. So I've separated, even though it's gonna be only me who's gonna work on the project, I still wanted to feel like there's a specific timeline I need to follow. Oh, sorry. Also, like very much out of frame today. Forgive me. I only see part of my OBS screen because oh yeah, I've been like this the whole time. Sorry. So I've split it the whole timeline into several bits. Well, first of all, references and inspirations that comes beforehand, everything, and we almost finished it. Then we'll go into kind of pre-production stage, where I'm gonna work on the storyboard, on the character, environment, and prop design. I'm gonna work on layouts and the color script. And we'll go with them one by one. There would be some places where we would work multiple weeks. There are some places where we're gonna spend like half a week on something. Only me and you. Good. Then we go into stage 2, which is production, which would probably take a longest. it just creates roughs, tie downs, and cleanup for the animation. And the stage 3 is going to be for post-production. Sound design and compositing. Sound design in terms of adding some special Foley to the animation. It's okay. That means that's you. We're just gonna hang out. Plus, I'm already finishing, so I don't really care. 1 is bigger than 0, 100%. So if you want to listen to me, I'm open to talking to oblivion. So stage 3 is post-production, is sound design, compositing. As I said, sound design is Foley. Some extra stuff, not counting the music, because it had already been picked out. I don't think I can put it on YouTube because it's copyrighted, but it's gonna be like a fan work, and if it's gonna be blocked, I'm just gonna put a different music under it. And I also have like big milestones that are very important, and while I'll basically will not go into next bit until all of the stuff is finished, mostly. So this is pitch. It's basically what we have from all of the previous steps of designing the color script, the layouts. We'll put it into one big document, and I'm going to talk about how to assemble such a document. We're going to look at the Cat Cafe document, the pitch that we used, and we're basically going to create like a little Bible that we will have and that we will be able to present to someone if someone is interested in what we're doing. Then it goes into production, which is basically animation. 5-Minute Friday for the time of the production is going to be as very regular 5-Minute Friday, where I'm going to animate something on screen, but also I'm going to give you updates on what's happening with the rest of the shots. Then we clean, color everything, and basically give it to the next person into compositing, which is me, where I will do the post-prod. And in the end, I would say screening is the end, but I think, the whole journey is the screening. So this will be kind of the final output, and I don't know, it will be published. This is the least important part of all of this, to be honest, for me. So yeah, I think, and in terms of time, how much time it's gonna take, pre-production, well, I want to finish it before the end of the year. So hopefully we'll be able to have screening before the publishing will be before December. So we have about less than 10 months. And I think out of all of them, I think 2 months of hard work will go into pre-production. Then animating, who knows? It could take 4 months, could take more, depending on how much I'm gonna animate. Do you also know how to voice over? I don't. I know people who are good with sound design and do that, but with voiceovers, I never worked. We had in Cat Cafe, we didn't have any dialogue. There were a couple of stuff like that, but that was the job of our sound designer, who compiled all of the sounds and created the music for it. So unfortunately, no. Yeah, the production stage is going to take from 4 months, I believe. There's going to be not a lot of shots, but some of them are going to be very, very complicated. We're also going to discuss filming references. We'll also discuss maybe looking for different animations that are close, like through Sagaboru. Then tie downs, then the horrific cleanup. That's probably going to take as much time as all of the animations beforehand. And once we'll clean it and color them, I think we'll have about maybe like a month for post-production, because I think at this stage I will have very clear intentions for how I want it to be composited. Either I'm gonna do it myself, or I'm gonna ask someone who is much more talented than me to help me, and probably someone who has better hardware. Secret. It's a secret. If you go through previous streams, you can probably find it. But it's a secret. Yeah. And so yeah, 2 months for pre-production, as much as I can for production itself, and a month for post-production. Maybe I'm a little bit too greedy in terms of post-production. It might take longer, but I believe once we assemble all of the animation pieces, it's not going to be too hard to assemble them all together. So this is it. This is all I wanted to talk about. Turns out I could talk for a long time, and I could probably talk for even longer. But my head is slowly starting to hurt from amount of time of hearing myself talk. So I'll be probably finishing it on this note. Grateful that there were people who watched me, especially you guys. Thank you. I love the attention. But hopefully this will also serve not as just people looking all the time at my art and my projects, but also will serve as a good kind of work buddy for your project. So if you're thinking of starting something and it's like it's going to be a daunting project, how I'm going to like compile everything and do everything, here is someone who's going to go through all of the process. And I'm probably going to be all over my deadlines, all over my resources and abilities. So we're definitely gonna make some changes maybe along the way. Hopefully not. Everything I tried to make it as simple as possible in most places. So I would have like very complicated shot that's like very impressive, and the rest of them are more kind of warm-ups leading to it. But it's definitely not gonna go, everything's not gonna go to plan. Stuff is gonna change, and I'm completely ready for that. But for now, I think I created a kind of a good base I will work on, and there's still stuff I want to add. And yeah, I don't think I have anything to add. If you have a project you want to start working on, also feel free to share it in the 5 Minute Friday subfolder. And yeah, thank you for being here. I have fun. And also telling all of this outside to look like a recording is also, I think, important, because I will feel that I have to do it now. People kind of, if there's like one person who goes to my streams, it's still 100% more than keeping it in the table. So yeah, mostly that's it. Did I forget anything? No. Join us on Sunday for the figure drawing class. And I'll be logging off. Again, thank you so much for being here. And I will leave now.